Awesome. Hi, Claudia. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm excited.
Yeah. What are you excited about?
I have been looking forward to getting out of my parents' house for so long, and I finally feel like I'm able to do that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. I feel like I lived with my parents. I don't know, when I came home from the military, like after I had been independent on my own for so long. So I totally feel you on that one. I would not, you can't have too many hens in the chicken coop. You just can't.
No, I'm so ready.
Okay. So I know we talked a little bit before, and I just wanted to have this conversation with you because, the market's just crazy right now. There's so much going on. And I feel like if you were to just jump in headfirst to buying a house and not have these tools in your back pocket, you would be at a disadvantage. And I would not be able to live myself if I let you do that at a disadvantage. So I hope you understand.
Yes, yes. No, I'm all for this.
Cool. Okay. So, first of all, tell me about yourself. Tell me like about your situation and, what led you up into wanting to move out and buy a house.
Okay, so basically, I've been wanting to move out for a while. I went to college right out of high school in 2018, and then when COVID hit, I moved home, and my parents were nice enough to like give me the basement and be like, "Do your thing." But I don't know, we just kind of live different lifestyles. Like, I try to go to the gym every day and eat healthy, and it's just really hard when
Hmm.
you know I'm trying to live like sugar free and all this stuff and eat like whole foods, but then my mom cooks such good food that I want to eat, but it's not necessarily the healthiest. And I don't know. I feel like I kind of need to separate my worlds, if that makes sense. Like, I get along better with my family if I'm not seeing them every day, which kind of sounds
Right.
terrible.
Right.
So I thought about renting, but I just feel like I'm wasting money, honestly. And the kind of house that I want, I'm hoping that I would be able to Airbnb it if I ever moved away.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I feel like this is the perfect time.
No, I mean, that's a really, really good point. And real estate's a great investment for anybody and everybody, I say. I mean, if you have money in real estate, I mean, some of the wealthiest people in the world who not even in the real estate industry own real estate because you're right. It's a great way to have recurring income, even when you're past the point of needing it. So, and Airbnbs are huge right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so based on what you told me, from what I'm getting, if you want to be able to Airbnb it out, are you wanting to look for something that's like beautiful and done and ready to go, like something you don't have to put any effort into? Or are you looking for like kind of a project house that you can get at a better price and work on over time until you can move out and Airbnb it?
Okay, so I honestly have like no idea really what I'm gonna get pre-approved for. I'm hoping though, I like obviously I don't want to spend more than like 200,000. I would like to be like 150, but I want an A-frame. Like that's a must. I have to have an A-frame, and I want that cute little cottage feel. I don't want a really big house. I want just enough space for me, so like a two-bedroom. Um I don't know. Like tiny homes? I kind of want a tiny home,
Okay.
but I want it to have land
Okay.
because I don't want to like see my neighbors necessarily. Like, I want it to be a spot where I can sit out on the front porch, not hear cars, all that stuff.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna jump back. We're gonna talk about like those things that you were listing off that are important to you, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna jump back to your pre-approval. Now you said like no more than 200, preferably 150, but I think the most important part when it comes to a pre-approval is not necessarily what you purchase the house for, but what your comfortable monthly payment is. So
Okay.
if you were to throw a number in the air, like let's say you were gonna go rent a house and you
Mhm.
had like a max price that you'd be comfortable paying every month, what would that be?
I want to say under 1,000.
Okay.
800 to 850 would be my like that. I would be comfortable paying that, but I don't really want to pay more than that.
Okay. So that was going to be my follow-up question is like, where would you prefer to be and what's your absolute max? So like if you found the perfect house and the perfect land and it had everything that you wanted, but the payment was going to be $1,100 a month, you would not do it.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So your cutoff is $1,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's my maximum.
Okay. So do you know what what your monthly payment is comprised of? Like, do you know what is all in that monthly payment that you make?
I would love for you to go over it again.
Okay. No, that's fine. I do it all the time. You know what? It's funny because I was just talking to another couple the other day and they were purchasing from out of state and it's different in another state than it is here. So
I didn't
there's
know
a, yeah. Oh no, it's different. I mean, not every area is different, but there are some different areas that do payments and escrow accounts differently. So there's a little acronym called PITI, PITI. And I like to use that acronym, but it stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And then in some cases, there's a second P or PITIP, PITIP, and that would be PMI. But principal, interest, taxes, insurance. So you have your principal. That's the amount that you pay every month that goes towards your actual balance of the home. And then you have a certain amount of that monthly payment that goes towards paying your interest. The property taxes, those are zoned by the city and the county. And every house in every area is going to be different. So let's just say that the property taxes were, $1,200 a year. That means that the property taxes would be $100 a month. That is also included in your monthly payment. And then insurance as well. And so, for the type of house you're looking for, I would not expect your insurance to be over 50 or $60 a month. So if you're looking at when you're deciding how much money you are willing to pay per month in total house payment, it's going to include those things. So I just want to make sure when you give me that max price, you are including you aren't thinking you're going to have to make a separate payment for insurance or a separate payment for taxes.
Yeah, no, I would say overall, I just want that $1,000
Okay.
max. But okay, I have a question. So with the principal amount with my loan, how much is percentage wise the interest every month along with let's just say I borrowed $10,000 and I was paying $300 a month towards my mortgage. How much percent of interest goes into that payment every month?
So it's a really good question. And it's a very complicated answer. Because it's different for every person. There are literally no two payments that are exactly the same. So here's what I will tell you. I'll give you a roundabout answer. So house mortgage interest is not simple interest, it's complex. So the way it works is at the very beginning of your loan, when you start making those payments, your interest is higher and your principal is lower. And then the more payments you make over the years, you notice each month you actually get a statement in the mail. And each month that statement's going to show that you paid a little bit more towards your principal and a little less in interest. And it kind of it starts here. And then over the years, it goes like this. And then towards the end of your loan, you're paying a very high amount in principal and a very low amount in interest. They do that so that they're making their money off the loan. Because most people sell their houses after, I think the average time that someone owns a house is 5 to 7 years. So that means that they're really only going to get paid on that loan that they're giving you for 5 to 7 years. So the interest is always higher in the beginning.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So let's just say though, let's just throw it out there because this is a number I see ish. This is not everywhere or whatever, but if you had $1,000 a month payment, 600 of it probably ish would be going towards your principal. 300 to 400 of it would be going towards your interest. Or actually, I changed that around. 500 towards your principal, 400 towards your interest, and $100 in taxes and insurance or whatever else. So it is a large amount in interest up front. It's almost 50-50. But if you were renting a home, you would be paying that $1,000 a month and it would literally go straight into someone else's pocket. It wouldn't be going back into the equity of your own home. So it's still a better deal than renting. So does that answer your question about a monthly mortgage payment? Okay, good. So I kind of want to jump back and talk about what you were saying about getting pre-approved for 150 or 200. So there is a huge difference between being pre-approved and pre-qualified. And what do you know about the market right now? In general, what's your disposition on the market? What's going on?
Basically, all I know is that houses are selling really fast and they're getting multiple offers. And yeah, it just seems like houses are going like that.
That's so true. I'm sure you've been on like Zillow or realtor.com, and you can see like as soon as you find a house that like piques your interest a little bit and you want to show your mom, and the next day you jump on and it's gone, right?
Yep.
Because it sold that fast.
Annoying.
So a lot of people, and I have this conversation a lot, where they're like, I have great credit, I have money in the bank, I'm not even worried about getting pre-approved. I kind of just want to go out there and see what's out there before I get pre-approved and it hits my credit. Because if I don't find anything that I like in the next 2 to 3, 4, 6 months, I don't want to have to get pre-approved again. I'd rather wait until I was ready to buy, and just kind of start looking. And so I get that all the time. I get it a lot. And so my response is I'm going to kind of flip that back on you. And I would say that if you didn't have that pre-approval in place, and I go show you a home, and it is the most beautiful little 800 square foot, 2-bedroom cottage on 2 acres, and it's A-frame. It has this cute little garden box in the front, and it was just adorable, and you loved it so much, and it was just listed. And then I go, okay, well, now we found the house that you love. Now you have to go get pre-approved. And you're like, oh, that's easy. I can just go online and click button, get mortgage. And I'm going to say, that's a pre-qualification. That's not a pre-approval. A pre-approval is when they go and they actually get all of your documents, your W-2s, your taxes, copies of your bank statements. They pull your credit. They look at your debt to income. And then after they look at all that, they're going to issue you this beautiful little letter that says you are pre-approved to buy a house. You can't really write offers these days with just a pre-qualification. Sellers question them. It's not a strong offer. And when you're competing for a house, if they see Rocket Mortgage, I'm saying if they see Rocket Mortgage on your pre-approval, they're going to go, no way. I am not going to go with Rocket Mortgage because these people are not actually pre-approved for a loan. They just clicked the button to get the mortgage. So having that pre-approval process and having it done up front, ready to go, get all that paperwork out of the way, makes it so that when you go see that beautiful house and it's got 6 offers on it right now, you and I could put together an offer strategy about what we're going to do to sweeten our deal and make our offer better than everyone else's. And we're going to have that pre-approval ready to go. So you don't have to stress about doing it or try to get a hold of a lender on a Saturday night when all offers are due Sunday morning, because you're going to have a hard time getting a hold of a lender to do that. Right?
Right.
Does that make sense? Am I right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that, you and I were on the same page there. So it just so happens that I have an amazing relationship with a local lender. And what I love about her is that if she pre-approves you, and let's say you don't find a house within 4 months, I have such a good relationship with her that she is not going to necessarily need to reissue you a pre-approval unless you're a super risky file. And most of my clients are not super risky files.
Yeah.
But she won't do that. She'll be like, go for it. We'll deal with it. If it's really close on the line and we're pushing that budget, maybe, but for the most part, her pre-approval is good as long as we're actively looking. Now, if you stop and take a break for a year, that's different.
Right.
But she's the best. She communicates the best. Her rates are low. Her fees are low. And I know that if you get pre-approved with her, she has a reputation in the market that her word is gold, and your offer is much more likely to be accepted using her than maybe other mortgage companies. So, would you be offended if I put you on a group text with her just to introduce you to her, and then you can carry on the conversation from there, however you'd like?
No, that was actually my next question, was like, who is she? Where is she from? And how do I get to know her a little bit?
That's so funny. Well, her name's Tori McKim. She's
Okay.
with Union Home Mortgage, and she's an awesome texter. And here's another fun fact about her is, like, let's say you found a house and it was pushing your budget. And with the mixture of taxes and insurance and everything, you weren't sure if you were going to meet your goals as far as monthly payment. I can just go to that group text, or I can go to a text, or you can text her. And even if it is on a Saturday night, she's really good. We'll just send her the property address and the taxes, and she will literally send me a breakdown of, here's what your monthly payment would be, here's what your down payment would be, and here's how much costs you need to close, your closing costs. Wow. So like, she's fantastic. And other lenders do not give out their cell phone information like that. So she's awesome. After this call, I will put you on a group text with her and introduce her to her.
Sweet.
Cool. Okay. So now that we've gotten through that part, pre-approval, I do want to quickly talk about, we talked about your price range and your payment and everything, but let's just say you get pre-approved to 300,000, which you probably will, but you obviously don't want to buy a house at 300,000 to keep your monthly payment at 1,000.
Right.
So when we get that pre-approval back and you've had that conversation with Tori, you're going to tell her what your comfortable monthly payment is. And she's going to be the one to give you a range of what we're going to buy a house in, like at that range for you. So then once we have that range, I'm going to go on to my MLS, which is the multiple listing service. And the MLS is like where Zillow and realtor.com, they all get their information from the MLS and then they mix in some of their own, which it's usually not correct, but they get their information from the MLS. So I'm going to go into my MLS and I'm going to create you a private portal link. And I'm going to send you houses that fit your criteria or that are close to your criteria. And you're going to get an email anytime something new comes on the market that fits your criteria so that so we want to be ahead of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want Joe Schmo seeing it on Zillow 4 days after it was listed, writing an offer and getting it. Like, I want you to get this email and I want us to go see this house that same day so that we can write an offer and it will be your dream home in your hand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the goal. So I'll send you that portal link. When you get your first email, you have to open the first email in order to continue getting properties. And then that's how we're going to start our search. So step 1, pre-approval. Step 2, start looking at these homes. Step 3 is going to be, if we find you that perfect home, then we're going to write an offer on it. And let's just say that your offer was accepted and you beat out the other, 47,000 offers. I'm just kidding. Not 47,000, 4 offers, and you beat those other 4 offers. And now you've got the house. At that point, you're considered under contract. Okay. So that's where it starts to get fun. We start jumping through hoop after hoop after hoop. So if you were currently renting or if you're paying your parents' rent right now, let me tell you how the pay breakout would work. So if you found the perfect home and you put in a contract on it on April 1st, you would probably close on it around like May 15th. But your first payment would skip June and not start until July. So if you've got, we're talking several months out now. So if you've got time and you don't need to move until July, you've got time to get through this process, purchase a house, move out from your other place and move into this one before you even start making a payment, which is great, right?
Why is that?
It's just the way that, they have to set up your account after you close. They have to send your information to the new company. They have to set up your account. They'll send you mail with all of your account information so you can go online and set up your online payments. But it's always been that way where it skips the next month. So it works out. It works out pretty nicely. Yeah. After we get you under contract though, one of the best things that I like to do for my clients, and it's kind of unique, I don't know a lot of agents that do it, is I send you a calendar of events that literally gives you a step-by-step timeline of, okay, we're here. Here's what you need to do. Then you're going to go here. Here's what you need to do. And then we're going to go here. And then you're going to get your keys. And then on the left side of the timeline, you're going to have contact information for the title company. You're going to have contact information for your lender. And then you'll have all of my contact information just as a reference if you need it. So you'll get that. And I usually tell people to screenshot it and keep it on their phone as a photo so they can reference it whatever they want. I will also be sending you an email every step of the way with all of that same information, but specific to what step we are in the process. So like, hey, Claudia, it's time to schedule your home inspection. Here's the people I would recommend you calling. Go ahead and schedule it for within the next 8 days because it has to be done during this time. And let me know when you have it scheduled so I can let the listing agent know. And then here's some things you're looking for during the home inspection. So that's just an example, but you're always going to have that hand holding from me so that you never not know what's going on during the process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My plate.
Well, not only that, but I am like a huge texter because I'm a millennial and I text everybody and everything all the time. And if you try to call me, I will do my best to answer, but you'll most likely get a text. So we will be in contact the whole time. you will quickly learn that I'm going to be your best friend and your counselor and your sister and everything else. That will be my role throughout this process because we're going to be like super tight.
Yep. Always in contact.
Yes. Is there any questions that you have so far? I'm doing a ton of talking. So do you have any questions for me so far?
Not really. You've kind of answered them as we've gone through. Yeah, nothing right now.
Cool. I like it when I do that. That means that I'm doing my job.
Covering all the bases right now.
Covering them all.
Okay.
So we get you under contract. In the very first week, you're going to make your loan application. And during that time, you're going to get your appraisal ordered with the lender. And then with me, you're going to be scheduling your home inspection. And then you're going to be sending your earnest money check. So we're doing a lot in the very beginning, and I'm going to be helping you with that.
Okay.
Earnest money is like a security deposit. So like when you go rent a house, you have to give a security deposit and you're supposed to get that money back when you move out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in real estate. So you're going to have an earnest money deposit that gets sent to the title company at the beginning of the contract, and they're going to cash that check. The difference is you know you're going to get it back, whereas when you're renting, you might lose it.
Right.
But earnest money is kept at the title company, and then when you close, they're going to apply that money as a credit towards your closing costs or apply it to your down payment. Or if you have no costs at closing, they'll give you a check back for that amount.
Okay. And how much is that normally?
Normally, they'd say like typical is 1% of the purchase price, but you're looking in like the 150 to 200 range. If you were to stay in that range, $1,000 is pretty normal. So I would count on 1,000. I've been able to write offers with $500 earnest money, but the more you put down, the more secure it is. So the only way you lose your earnest money is if you get through the inspections, you get through releasing that inspection contingency on the contract, and you just get cold feet and want to walk away, then you lose your earnest money and you could potentially face other problems, and I'm not an attorney, so I can't give you any legal advice, but you could potentially face other problems down the road, as well as losing your earnest money. So, but you get that earnest money back almost all the time. And definitely if you were to decide to walk away from the house, let's say the inspections didn't go well and you decided you just wanted to walk away rather than dealing with them or negotiating repairs, you would get your earnest money back.
Okay. Do you find yourself making a lot of offers contingent on home inspection? Or now in this market, is it more like people are just writing offers and then the home inspection is what it is, kind of?
So that's a really good question. I would say there was like a 6-month period there where I was on board with people waiving the home inspection entirely and just removing that contingency from the contract. But I quickly realized that I wasn't doing my due diligence as a representative of your best interest by telling you that you should do that. I'm finding that what we're doing is we're writing inspections into the offer, but we're guaranteeing that we will not ask for any repairs or concessions. So,
okay.
Yeah. So like we'll still write the inspections in, but they'd be for your knowledge only. And it would still give you the right to walk away if the inspections were bad, or move forward if you were okay with some of the repairs that need to be done. And inspections are not for minor things. I tell my people, an inspection is not a checklist of everything that needs to be repaired. An inspection is to give you an idea of what this used home condition is. And if there's major repairs, a new roof, a foundation wall that's bowing, electrical that's extremely unsafe, like we can negotiate those repairs, but we try to leave like a plug that doesn't work, a broken seal on a window, which is pretty minor. Like we leave those things alone. We try to, and focus on the bigger things. So I think that's probably what we're seeing most now is inspections for knowledge only.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, and let's talk about that real quick. So when we write the offer is contingent on that inspections. So like anytime during that contingency phase in the beginning of your offer and contract, you have the right to walk away because it's contingent on the inspections and you accepting the home in that condition. You're also contingent on the loan going through and the appraisal going through. There's lots of contingencies, especially in the beginning, that protect you in case you change your mind. But we try not to do that. And one of the great things that I'm really good at is when I show you a home and I walk through the home with you, I can tell the moment I walk in a home, this house was well taken care of, or this house is going to have a lot of hidden problems. I can tell, I mean, I have the eye, so I can tell when I walk in and I look at little things like the condition of the, like the flooring where it meets the wall, or the quarter round that's there, like little things like that. If there is anywhere on the plumbing, if there's crustiness around the plumbing, like I can tell that they didn't take very good care of these little things. So I guarantee you they didn't take good care of the big things either. And I can see those things and point them out, so that if you decide to write an offer, at least you know going in, like you're probably going to find some things on this inspection report, or I couldn't imagine you finding anything major. You know what I mean? We will have that conversation when we walk through the house.
And so how long is that contingency usually in place? You said that you want the home inspection done within 8 days. So, and then how long do I get till I get the response on that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So let's jump back to, okay, you're under contract April 1st. Usually you have, and the way I write my offers is 10 days. Sometimes we change it to be more competitive, but for purposes of this call, you have 10 days from the day of contract to get that home inspection done. So on day 1 or day 2, I'm going to get you that email. I'm going to get you some information with some preferred vendors that we regularly use that do a great job. You're going to go ahead and schedule that inspection, and you can have it done anytime during that 10-day period. After you have your inspections done, and I say inspections because you have your general, you could have a radon test, you could have a pest test, you could have a mold test. If there's septic and well, you could do a septic and well. You have lots of options for testing or home inspections. So you would get all of those scheduled and done. Most of the time they're done in the same day. From that day after you get the inspections done, then we have 5 days to get a response back to the sellers with, here's what we want. We want these repairs. We want to walk away, or we want to move forward.
Okay.
So those 3 options. And the report usually gets to you the next day.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
you want to go to the home inspection at least for the last half an hour or so you can get a summary of what the inspector found. I wouldn't go the whole time. It's up to you. If you want to, you can, but usually people get in the way, and the home inspection takes twice as long at that point because they're asking questions. So I say come for like the last 60 minutes to 30 minutes so that you can walk through the house again, get comfortable with it, and then go through the summary of what they found.
Okay.
So that's about 10 days. Your earnest money check has to be done within a couple of days, and your loan application has to be done within a couple of days. So this is all done in the beginning. It's a lot.
So basically, if I decide to buy that house after we walk through, I should be doing my loan application that night.
No. So you're not going to do your loan application until the day that the contract is signed by both parties, and it's an official ratified contract, ratified as in everybody signed it and it's legit. Okay. So, and I'll be there to remind you like, hey, congratulations, contract is signed by everybody. It's official. You are under contract. And then you'll see the status of that listing online go from active to contingent, or active to pending. It goes to contingent or pending. So that's the point when your contract starts. That's when you're going to make your loan application. That's when you're going to write your earnest money check. And that's also when you're going to go ahead and schedule your inspections. So I think you froze on me a little bit. There you are.
But
okay,
you're good.
So, okay.
A lot in one day.
It's a lot. And this information is a lot. It's a lot to take in. So feel free to stop me with questions if you have any. I really quickly want to go over some out-of-pocket costs that you might expect up front in the beginning, especially. So we already talked about your earnest money. Let's just assume that's $1,000. Your home inspection is going to be $500 to $800, depending on if there's well and septic. If there's no well and septic, a general home inspection with maybe a radon test added to it or a sewer scope and all those things added is going to be like $500 to $600. If there's septic and well, you're going to pay a few $100s more for a septic and well inspection. So it's going to be, you know, 6 to 8 or 6 to 9, depending on the size of the septic and well and those different things. So let's just bump that and say 900 to be safe and assume that your little cottage on land is going to have septic and well.
Yep.
So let's assume that. And so we're going to say $1,900 now with earnest money and inspections. You get your earnest money back. You do not get your inspection money back. So if you decide to walk away and you invest that inspection money into the house, you're paying for their service. You don't get that money back. Your appraisal is going to be about $350 to $400. And that's something that's also paid up front at loan application with your lender. Now, the cool thing is if you close on the home, the lender credits you that appraisal money back at closing towards your closing costs. Yeah. But if you don't close on the home, again, you're still paying for that service and the lender won't take a fee on when you didn't use them. So that's when you would lose that money as well. And so, you know, we were at 1,900, let's add another 400. That's about $2,300 now out of pocket money that you're going to need to get through the inspection, appraisal, loan application, earnest money. Okay. There's really no other costs associated at that point, unless there's something out of, you know, way out of touch or something that we don't know about. So do you have any questions about those costs or fees?
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, because I know you're not a lender, but so let's say that I find a house for $150,000. That's what they're asking. And my lender goes out and appraises the house at like $100,000. Does that mean that they won't give me that a loan higher than that, or what does that necessarily mean?
A really good question. So you get to have an inspection on the property for your own knowledge, right?
Okay.
The lender gets to do their own inspection on the property, but it's not for knowledge of what's wrong with it. It's for knowledge of value. So the problem with appraisals is they take a long time. You're not going to get the appraisal results back in the beginning. You're going to order it in the beginning. It's going to be scheduled and get done within 2 weeks. And then it takes another week after the appraisal is done for you to get the results back. So it does take a long time.
Okay.
But if you had an appraisal on the property and the appraiser came back and said, I know you agreed to pay 150 for this property, but it's really only worth 135. That means that they're only going to give you a loan on that property for 135.
Okay.
So we can negotiate with the seller and have them bring the price down to 135. I've also seen people bring cash to the table because they love the house so much that they wanted to bring and make up that difference between what they agreed to pay and what they're getting a loan on. So that 15,000 or 5,000 towards it, whatever, you know, that's been done. And sometimes the sellers just won't lower the price and they'll take it off the market from you and break contract with you at that point because they can, because we're renegotiating the price at this point. And then they'll find a different buyer and you're going to have to move on. That does happen. It's not very often, but it does happen.
Do they normally get an appraisal before they sell their house, or do they just kind of?
No,
Not
normally, not in this area. Now I know like out in California, I think they do. And they get home inspections before they even list the property.
Wow.
But not here.
Not here.
Not here. Yeah. So, and appraisals are subjective. So, I mean, we could go into a whole conversation about that, but yeah, you never know what an appraisal is going to come back.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but true. So we got you through those first few weeks. We got through the inspections. We negotiated the repairs. We removed the inspection contingency. We're waiting to get the appraisal back. You're set to close in 2 weeks. You're a happy camper. You're excited about the house. At that point, it gets a little bit boring because you and I aren't seeing each other or talking every day about it. The lender is asking you questions so that they can close your file. Title company might be reaching out to you and asking for some information from you. And the title company is really the glue. They're pulling together all of the contracts, the lender, they're looking for liens on the house, on the property, anything like that. And they're going to put it all together. And they're the ones that are going to reach out to you to sign the paperwork and close and all that stuff. So it gets pretty boring until you get your keys. So you'll probably get a little anxious and excited. And right before we close, we'll do a final walkthrough on the property just to make sure it's in the same condition that it was when you originally looked at it. And then you'll close all of your closing documents, usually in the morning, let's say a Friday morning. And then once you close on with all your documents, the title company takes all of that, files it with the clerk of courts for that county, and then title has officially transferred. That usually happens around later in the day, like 3 to 4. And that's when I can give you your keys.
Sweet.
Any questions about that process?
No, not really. So after I send all my closing documentation, I'm really done.
Yeah, and you won't need to send it because the title company hires a notary and you have to go through a packet like this thick and sign everything, and they do all of that for you.
Sweet.
Yep. So, okay, so I guess there's a few more things I want to talk about, but the most important thing here is let's talk about what you're looking for and expectations. So I probably have seen an A-frame home 5 times. It's not very common.
I know.
So I'm going to challenge you to expand your your idea on that, just because I think we might be able to find something cozy and something that as a first home for you that you're willing to move on from will work for you. I don't know if we're going to find an A-frame. I don't know if we're going to find it a tiny home on land in your price range, because land is premium price right now. But I still think that we can find something that you feel comfortable in, you don't feel cramped in, and that's cute and gives you that cottagey feel. So I guess that would be my challenge is let's take a broader look on what's available and go see some homes that you kind of like look good to you when we look at them, and see if maybe your idea of what you want changes. Because like I said, this market is so tough right now, and there's already no availability. Like there's nothing on the market right now. There's no inventory, and what you want is so specific. I don't know if we're going to find it in the next 5 years in your price range.
Yeah.
So unless you built it, you could always buy land and then buy a tiny home and plop your tiny home on the land. That's
True.
something you could do.
True.
So you can't use a regular mortgage for that, but we can talk about that if that's the way you want to go.
Okay.
So I'm going to suggest looking at Cape Cods and bungalows, because they give you that cottagey feel. And not all of them. I mean, I think we can find something that will fit what you like, that's really cute and that isn't like stigma'd, like, oh, I see this all the time, or cookie cutter. You know what I mean?
No, we could never.
A cookie cutter. So let me start sending you some homes, and you can start liking them on your portal, and I can see on my end what you like. And maybe we'll go view a couple of them. Feel free to go to open houses on Sundays as well. Don't give them your information when they ask you to sign in. Give them my information. So if you have to sign in on paper, just sign in with my name, my phone number, my email. Carry my card with you so you can easy reference it. But feel free to go to open houses as much as you want, or we can schedule private showings. If you find a for sale by owner that you really, really, really like and you want to see, do not reach out to them. Reach out to me and let me know, and I will do the negotiating with a for sale by owner, because my commission is paid for by the MLS, by the seller's agent, when you purchase a house. And with for sale by owners, that's not offered. So I have to negotiate that up front so that there's no cost to you out of pocket at the end.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's about everything. I think I have a little bit of homework for you, if you're okay with it.
Oh yeah, hit me with it.
So let's pretend you didn't tell me that you wanted an A-frame on land. Okay. Let's just say you were looking for your second best option. So you couldn't have your dream home, but you were willing to go with second best. I want you to text me some ideas of what would be your second option, or like second best option, something that you would be acceptable as a starter home for you and isn't necessarily your dream home, but you could do with it. And then I want you to go online to any of those third-party websites, or I can send you the portal up front and just change it when we get your pre-approval, and you can search the portal. Send me a couple of listings that you're like, this actually looks kind of nice, or this might fit what I'm looking for, so that I can see what you're looking for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cool. So we just have a couple minutes left. I wanted to show you something. Can I share my screen?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen to my desktop. So usually I would do coffee with you, but we didn't get to do that. So I have this guide and it's awesome sauce. And basically everything we went through is in this guide. And so when I meet you, when we go to our first showing, I'm going to bring you a copy of this guide. But I really quickly wanted to point out some stuff. So this is just me and where you can contact us, some cutesy stuff. Finances and pre-approval. Here's just a little, script about what you can expect for what we talked about, how much house you can afford, your credit, getting your pre-approval right here, pre-approval versus pre-qual. These are just some like averages. These are not like set in stone, but just different types of loans and the credit scores you'll need and average down payments for certain loans. And I just want to bring up, this is a 203K loan. This loan right here is for if you wanted to remodel a house. A lot of people are interested in it, but they are rare and they usually don't close and they're high cost. So I would stick with an FHA loan, a VA loan, or conventional. And sometimes if we do find the right property for you that's like in a rural area, you could qualify for a 0 down USDA loan as well.
So if I was to buy land and put my little tiny home on it, what kind of loan would that be? I know you kind of mentioned that earlier.
That's really specific and unique. So you would probably have to get a personal loan for the tiny home because it's not an attached, dwelling. It's more of like a fixture, like buying a barn. And you would buy land. And if you decided that you wanted to do that and buy land, I actually have a land lender, a few of them, where you can just buy straight land without having to build on it in 6 months. There's a lot of different kinds of lenders, and we can definitely talk about that when it comes to land. There's different loans for if you're going to build, not going to build, if you're using it as hunting property. But I do have a couple of lenders where you can just buy straight land. So if that's the route you want to go and we look around, you can't find anything, we'll talk about that when the time comes.
Sweet.
This is that list of documents I was telling about that you may or may not need to give to your lender. Types of mortgage loans, home shopping. I'll give this to you so you can go through it. This right here, this process, this is kind of what we talked about today is when you write the offer, they could accept or decline, they could counter, and just all the different steps that you could go through when writing your offer. Then, you're negotiating the terms and conditions in the home inspection and repairs. You're ordering that appraisal. Some of the things that you're going to be doing during the process of moving. And it's kind of a checklist backwards, like what you need to do during the process to prep yourself to move. And then everything that's going to happen around closing day. So the final walkthrough, closing, disclosures, closing costs, all of that stuff. Some reviews. So this is a little locals guide. I know you're from the area, so you probably know a lot of these places, but this is just something that Dan and I put together because we work with a lot of referrals that come in from outside the area. That kind of goes over some of our favorite places, coffee, brunch, things like that. So I'll send that to you as well. There's only one thing. I hope I'm not making you dizzy. There's one thing I wanted to point out, and now I can't think of where it's at. Well, either way, I'm going to stop this share. So I'm going to bring that with me so that you can review it whenever you want. And I think that's everything. Do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
No, not really. You answered all my questions to a T. So thank you for that.
Good. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now I think I know what I was going to say. Let me get back here to the closing table. Something I saw reminded me that I needed to, closing costs. Real quick, we did not talk about closing costs. Closing costs in your price range, 150 to 200,000 is going to be anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000, depending on your type of loan. In this market, it's really hard to get a seller to pay closing costs for you. So we talked about having some of that money as out-of-pocket costs for inspections and appraisals and such, but you may need to come up with a few $1,000s extra to pay for your closing costs. Now, if you don't have it, we might still be able to write your closing costs into the contract and basically finance it in so that the sellers are paying for them, but we might raise the purchase price a little bit just to,
Okay.
you know what I mean? And sometimes we're writing offers that are like 30 grand above list price, which happens. And then we got to add more in there. So it is possible. We can definitely talk about it case by case basis. But I would expect to have a few $1,000s in closing costs ready to go. Last thing, I promise. This market is so nutty. And I know we talked about that a little bit. When you're looking at houses and you see a list price, don't get attached to that list price. Look at that as a starting auction price.
Oh,
That's the way that we need to look at every house we're looking at. If it's listed at 120, you're going to pay 135 or 140, depending on the condition of the house. If it's a poopy condition, you might pay list price only, or a little bit less. But if it's a wonderful, beautifully updated, gorgeous little adorable house, you're going to pay sometimes tens of thousands more than list price. So, and agents know that when they're listing the property. So the properties are not listed high with the expectation to go higher. They're listed market value or below to drive those offers up. So I know that's hard for a lot of people to understand because they see 200, they want to offer 180, they want to get a deal. Not the market for that at all. So release yourself of that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, my friend. So I'm going to put you on that group text with Tori.
Okay.
I'm going to get you set up on a portal with roughly probably 125 to 175 price range.
Okay.
But we'll adjust that after you get your pre-approval. And then once you get your pre-approval, we can start looking at some houses. In the meantime, go to open houses, text me if you have any questions whatsoever, and I will make sure that I have this packet ready to go for you at our first showing.
Sweet. I'm excited.
Cool. It was so awesome meeting you and talking to you. And I am totally knowing like right now that we are going to be good friends, even long after closing.
Yep. No, thank you for your time and all your answering my questions. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later then.
Okay, thank you.